Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make these Hostess dessert charms out of polymer clay in remembrance of the awesome Hostess snack cakes that are now going out of business. Sad face. So let's get started by making the color of the batter that we'll be using for 3 of the charms. Just mix tan, beige, and yellow clay together to get a uniform color like this. I'm going to start off by making the fruit pie. Just take your batter color and roll it into a flat circle. Then pinch the edges together and flatten them. Then I'm going to add texture by using one of my ball tools and just pressing down the edges. After that, I'm going to add more texture using the back of my blade. Then I'm going to texture and shade using my toothbrush and some chalk pastels. The method I use is by putting chalk pastels in a little dish and swirling them around with my paintbrush. I'm just going to brush this on my charm on the outer edges and on the bottom. And then you're finished. Now to make the zinger, use the same batter color and just roll it into a sausage. Then flatten it slightly until you get a good shape. Then I'm just going to texture it using my toothbrush and shade it using the same method as we used for the fruit pie. Then for the icing, I'm just going to mix a yellow and white clay. Then I'm going to roll that into a long sausage as well, flatten it to shape, and then I'm going to compare to make sure it'll fit right. Then use my blade, I'm going to add texture to the icing, and I'm just going to put it on top of my zinger. And then you're finished with that charm. Now moving on to the Twinkies, this is probably my favorite charm out of the bunch. Use the same exact method for making the base of the Twinkie as you did for making the zinger, shading and all. Then because Twinkies have cream filled on the bottom, I'm just going to add 3 indents with my ball tool. Then using a very sharp blade, I'm going to cut this in half. Then I'm going to texture the insides with my toothbrush and shade it a little bit. Then I'm going to clean off my work surface, my hands, and my tools using a baby wipe. Now this is so important because as you can see, the clay would stain very majorly if we didn't do this process. Then I'm going to take a little ball of white clay, flatten it out, and add a bit of TLS or translucent liquid Sculpey. I'm going to mix the two together using my ball tool to get a cream texture. Then I'm going to add this evenly on the insides of the Twinkie. And you're finished. Now I have the all-original Hostess cupcake. Just begin by mixing some black and brown clay together. Then I'm going to roll out a teardrop shape and flatten it for the cupcake base. Then I'm going to roll a log of just brown clay and flatten it into a little disc for the icing. Then I'm going to add that on top of my cupcake base as so. And now since we're going to be working with white clay again, make sure you clean off your surface. Then roll out a long skinny snake of white clay and cut it to size. Then just do the little loop texture on top of the cupcake. This is kind of tricky, but it's easy once you do it. And there you have it. Just take your flour cookie cutter, and this is of course optional. Then make a bite mark and texture it with a needle tool. Once doing that, I'm going to do the exact same process for creating the cream and put a little bit of it inside of the cupcake. And there's your finished Hostess cupcake. Moving on to the Ho-Hos. Start off by mixing some brown and black clay together again. Then roll that into a thick sausage and flatten it out. Then I'm using my blade to act as a rolling pin, and I'm just going to roll that flatten. And do the exact same process with some white clay. Don't forget to clean off your work surface. Then layer the 2 colors. Make sure the white goes on the inside and the blackish browns on the out. Then cut it into a long skinny rectangle shape. Then just begin rolling them up together. Now this will look unusual at first, but once we flatten it out, it'll look a bit more realistic. So once you have that, begin to roll it out and make sure you do this evenly, so I recommend doing it with 2 fingers. Then put this into the freezer for 3 to 5 minutes to harden it before we cut. So now I'm going to cut it with my blade. Putting it in the freezer allows it to make a much cleaner cut, as you can see here. Do that on both sides. And there you have your ho-ho. So now I'm just going to insert eye pins into all of the charms and bake them at 275 degrees Fahrenheit for about 15 minutes. Once they're all baked, I'm going to glaze them using Sculpey glass glaze and a paintbrush. Of course, this is completely optional. And there you have your charms, just showing them off each individually. First, I have the Hostess cupcake that we made, the ho-ho, which is personally one of my favorites. I love this swirly design. The apple pie or fruit pie, a zinger, and lastly the Twinkies. So those are all of the charms we made in today's tutorial. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope this was helpful. If you make these, make sure to leave a video response down below or a picture on my Facebook page, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye everyone.